Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of In the Blender with your host, Shake Money. Oops. And I am your host, Shake Money. Today, we could be talking about what happened this week with the hire of the DC, the defensive coordinator, and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, I'm sure you heard a million times by now about the defensive, the hire. And so last night, as a matter of fact, this Sunday, I rewatched the 1985 Dolphins versus Bears game. And I took away a few things from that game. What's funny is it was a classic game. And what's funny is that both coaches, Don Shula and Mike Ditka, didn't have their headphones on. And what's funny is that you see Mike Ditka with his little tie on. And that's funny is he looked like a defense attorney or a politician, actually. He looked more of a politician than a head coach at that time. A few things that really stood out to me was like, number one, I didn't see a play clock. Number two, the quarterback was complaining that the Orange Bowl was too loud and he couldn't get plays off on time, which is kind of sad nowadays because you look at the Orange Bowl, you did not see one Chicago Bear fan in that stadium. You maybe seen one or two, but nothing like today's climate. You know what I mean? Another thing of note was the Sunday before that game, Joe Robbie had broke dirt for Joe Robbie Stadium, which is now Hard Rock, which was a pretty cool fact. Another fact of that game is Mac Moore. Mac Moore, he was the defensive end. He got 2 sacks that game. And what's cool about that is there's a correlation with Mac Moore and Cameron Wake. Not only did they both wear 91, but he was considered a rookie, but he played 3 years in the CFL. Both from the CFL, both were 91, which I think was pretty cool. Mac Moore. We also had 2 Gators in that game. Matt Moore and can't remember the other guy's name. I had it here somewhere, but I'll bring it up at another time. But what's the other thing of note here? Oh, at the time of that game, the division standings was New England was leading at 9-4. Jets was in second place at 9-4. Miami was 8-4. Indianapolis Colts was 3-10, and the Buffalo Bills was 2-11. Another cool fact: the guys calling the game was Frank Gifford, Joe Namath, and the one and only O.J. Simpson, which was pretty cool at that time, I guess. He saw that Walter Payton broke his records of 8 consecutive games with 100 yards. Him and Earl Campbell tied it with 7 consecutive games with 100 yards. And at the end of the day, I don't care what nobody says, that 100 yards was garbage time. As a matter of fact, they pumped the ball and they purposely, all he needed was 10 yards to break the record. He broke it. And, what's cool was that I seen Kim Bocamper, number 58, play defensive end. They were playing 3-4 at the time, and Bears were playing a 4-3 front. It was a good game, man. And it's night and day when you look at a game today versus looking at a game from 1985. If you haven't seen the game, I encourage everybody to watch Just look it up. 1985 Bears played the Dolphins, and you'll see the entirety commercial free. It is a great watch. And why did I bring up that game? Because my next guest is from Chicago. He's a Dolphins fan, a Utah fan, and a Cubs fan. So, my man Crypto, what's going on?
What's
Crypto,
going on, Shake Buddy?
how you doing, brother? It's good to have you, man. You know what? I am thrilled, bro. I am elated that you are here in the blender with me, my brother. Thank you for coming by, bro. It really means a lot to me.
That's no problem, Shake Money. I appreciate it. By the way, nice blender there. We you can get you. We'll get you a Ninja blender or a Vitamix, however you like it, man.
That's what's up, bro.
I used to
So,
mess around with the Ninja blenders.
did you hear me about what I was talking about the Bears game?
Yeah, you back down memory lane. I love that game. That's the game that sealed the deal for me. I was a fan a few years before that when I was attracted to the team based on a little kid. We get drawn by a
Mm-hmm.
lot of other things. It was the cup team colors that drew me in as far as me choosing a team based on the colors. You know,
Yeah.
so it's just one of those things. But that 85 game was something else. That sealed the deal for me. That clinched it.
That's what's up, man. And yeah, you know what's funny is I look at Mike Ditka, and it's a politician coaching the game
Yeah,
and not a head coach. He looked more like a politician. I'm sorry. He had a little
he
tie
does.
on. It was
You
funny, man.
know,
Yeah. Go ahead.
Shake Money. I met Mike Dicker in person. He was a guest speaker. I kid you not, at my church, the church I went to on the south side of Chicago, at Saint Sabina on 79th Street, the Racine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was. I actually met him in person. Oh, it was one of the occasions I met him in person. But it was one other time, but that was the one that stuck out for me. But it was more so because he was a guest speaker at our church for that day.
And what's funny is that particular game, the backup quarterback started the game for the Bears.
Yeah,
Um,
it was not
Steve
Tom
Fuller.
Zach,
Steve
Steve
Fuller.
Fuller. Yeah, yeah, Fuller.
Yeah.
Because Tom Zach came after that as far as a backup.
Also, you know what? I noticed that previous to that season, two undefeated teams, there's only three undefeated teams. Two of them were the Bears. 1934, they won 13 games and lost to the Giants, and then they won 11 games and lost to the championship to the then Redskins. And then, of course, Miami, you got the under 72 undefeated team.
Yeah, yep.
That tells you how
The,
far back those Bears teams go. I looked it
yeah,
up the other day, and they have the
they
most
were
fans in the Hall of Fame.
they were the most winningest franchise in NFL history, um, and up into those days in the 80s. They
Mm-hmm.
had the most wins. Of course, they have a deeper history because they started before the Dolphins started their franchise, but they have a deep history of winning as well.
They started
As
before
far
the
as
merger.
yeah, as though Walter Payton, those were Bears teams that was something else. My family member, my brother, my mom, of course, when she was still here, uh, she was a big time. I mean, a big time Bears fan. Shake Money, and my brother, and it just kind of like the rest of my siblings kind of caught on. I was the only one that didn't get the Bears fever.
Okay.
I was the odd man out.
Well, that's kind of like me in my household. Everybody in my house is a Kane fan except for me. I'm a Gator. But that's here neither here.
Right. Yep.
So,
It's always different.
so you're also a Canes fan, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Who would you
I like
say is your favorite Kane Dolphin?
Ooh, that's a good one. Mm. For his king, that's a dolphin.
Hmm.
Uh, mm. Oh, I'm trying to think. Who I really like. I will have to start on the defensive side of the ball for the most part. Um,
Olivier
because
Vernon.
the off because the offensive play, yeah. See, Vernon was fine. Yeah, he was good. He was one, but the offense. Think about this: the offense that I really fell in love with in the '80s, back when Johnson was the coach of the Canes.
Hmm.
Those players are the ones I wanted so bad to play for us, like the Michael Irvins. They just never, we just was never to get our hands on them. Hell,
Hmm.
even Jim Kelly, but he was a rival. Vinny Testaverde, those guys I used to like when they was in college. For hell, freaking Ken Dorsey, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
They just never on the offensive side became Dolphin fans. So Vernon, that's one name that sticks out. On the D side,
Yeah.
as far as Kane's to Miami transition. it's I can never get that great offensive player, at least that one that stands out that I liked back then that was on the team. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And on the
So
flip
I'm
side,
kind of, yeah,
who's
because I
your
was
who's
because you
okay?
remember. No, I'm sorry.
Good.
Um, not was it Willis McGahee? No, it was another one I was trying to think of
A
that
running
we
back,
got
Frank
later.
Gore. Frank Gore.
That we Yeah, that we got later. Yeah, Gore was
Frank
one.
Gore.
See, we got him later after his days in San Fran. That was the thing. They never just came immediately to us.
Hmm.
So Gore was good. Gore was a hell of a player. Don't get me wrong. He was a one of those traditional bell cow style running backs that Cap for Life always tend to pound the table for. Um, yeah, but me, I'm thinking old school. I would have loved to have Vinny Testaverde on his team back when he first left college because he was a pretty decent player at the time. And unfortunately, he was the guy that was on that Jets team that beat us in that Monday night meltdown that we had.
Yeah.
Um, so a lot of that's a painful memory for us Dolphin fans and that Monday night meltdown when freaking Lyman was started catching touchdowns and stuff on us. And I was like, oh God, shake money.
Yeah. I know too, all too well.
But the Canes, they go way back, you know, because they had some really, really, really good powerhouse teams. You know, even for several decades, they've been able to do it until they got in trouble, until the off the field issues start catching up to them, and the college start punishing them for it, and then they just never was able to get back on track. Ever since that first hammer came down
Hmm.
against them, they just was never able to put together a consistent winner ever since then.
Yeah. No,
They-
I
They'll
tell you
have
what.
they'll have
I tell you.
flashes every now and then, you know,
Yeah.
but they
Hmm.
just can never get that consistent winner like we did back throughout the decade of the '80s, '90s, and early 2000s.
Yeah. Neither team did as good as peaked as high as they did when they were in the Orange Bowl.
Yeah.
I think
Yep.
they need to go back. The Marlins and the Dolphins need to switch because Marlins won two pennants in Hard Rock, and Dolphins won theirs in the Orange Bowl. And right now, neither team is doing squat at their location, so they need to go ahead and swap. Just do it.
Yeah. Just do a swap. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The Canes and Marlins do a swap. You know that curse they like to talk about of the grounds
Mm-hmm.
of the that's probably what's going on. What they say is buried on Indian burial ground.
Yeah, and then
They're giving us. I guess that cursed into the Dolphins. I guess they're saying, but
Yeah,
yeah,
because the Marlins didn't have that problem. They had one too
no, they
many.
didn't. Right, exactly. They was able to win a couple of pennants. So yep, and they
So
didn't.
so crypto. Now
They,
that check this out. Well, I remember the first time I heard you. You were on Larry L's panel, and I ain't gonna
yes.
lie, you're very passionate. Whatever. How did you before YouTube whatever? What was the best way to consume your Dolphins? Being that you were out of town, how would you consume your
Mm,
uh,
as far as
Dolphin
keeping
news?
up with them numbers wise, we had pretty good media people in Chicago with the Tribune and the Sun Times and the USA. I used to get USA Today as far as keeping up with them through the newspaper, as far as keeping track of all their numbers and all that, and then plus watching them on prime time a lot because they have been getting a lot of favorable prime time debuts. So I was able to catch them. Speaking of the 85 game, it was a major prime time game against the Bears. So
Monday
that I was able to do it. Yep, Monday night. Yep, December 2nd. We had we was basically it's either us or no one was stopping them from going undefeated. That was
night.
it. We were the only team in their way from from a perfect season. And lucky for us in the 72 Dolphins that the schedule makers put us as a roadblock on their schedule to keep them from doing it because the Bears just steamrolled their way through the playoffs and like it wasn't nothing, like a hot knife through butter. Basically waiting for that rematch. We got robbed of a rematch against because we lost to New England, you
Yeah,
know.
correct.
So we was robbed of a rematch against them, and I have no doubt in my mind that was Dan Marino's first Super Bowl. Clearly, he had that team figured out like none other, like no other quarterback figured that Bears defense out. So when once we was robbed shake money of that opportunity, that was it. You
So
know,
let me ask you, being that your family was Chicago Bear fans, did they give you trash or did you talk trash during the game? How did that? How did you guys watch the game that day?
no,
You
that
remember?
day my mother she was pretty angry from the very first outset when we scored those couple of touchdowns and we went up big on them.
Yeah, it was
And it was
31-10 at halftime.
yeah, it was pretty much lights out in the first half. It was it was pretty much it was all she wrote. And the first once she saw that, she's like, that it's not happening. The perfect season is out the window. But and I was like, I was like, Ma, don't be mad. It'll be all right.
Mhm.
They'll win another game. Because I was trying to not be as, you know what I'm saying? Because
Boastful.
me being young at the time, I didn't want to get on her nerves, and then she put me on a punishment and tell me to go to my room and I can't watch TV no more.
Yeah, they
So
had the power.
I didn't want to do that to her. So I was kind of being a little nice little kid, you know, to her, and didn't want to, you know, what do you call it? Stick the poke the stick in the hornet's nest. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that.
All right. Besides the Bears, what is there another game that brings you good memories? Like, what was your like? Can you name another game that was like your one of your
One brought me
favorites?
good memories when we beat the Broncos, when Marino beat in the Elway Marino matchup. Those were good ones throughout the 90s. We were in our head-to-head matchup against good AFC teams. We was right there. And that's why we was always feeling so good throughout those days, throughout those years for so long because we knew we had a shotting chance. We had a snowball's punch in hell, you know, to say we had a chance.
That's
But
what's
it
up.
just we just it brought so much excitement. Even if we lost those games, Shake Money, we knew that we were in it. We had a shot. You know, regardless of what dimension, whether how many dimensions we were, one dimensional, two dimensional, three dimensional, we knew we had a shot. because our quarterback and coach tandem gave us that shot. And that was the thing. So I would say that Bronco game. There was another one that stood out. The I'm not gonna say the San Diego Charger game because that was a heartbreak. Because Stoyanovich, he missed that field goal. That was another opportunity to host the Super Bowl that year. Um, we would have actually been the first team to host a Super Bowl had we beat the Chargers in that playoff game.
Yeah,
Uh,
and Buccaneers was now the first one to do that.
yep, now the Buccaneers the first to do it, followed by the Rams. But then that year too, they had us like a 6 or 7 point favorite for the remainder of the playoffs that year. And when we lost it, I was like, "Oh man, that was our shot." Because I know that matchup with the Niners, we would have beat them. I think that would have been our rematch with them
Hmm.
because you saw what happened after they played them. They got steamrolled. The Chargers got steamrolled. It's whenever you have a bad matchup, shake money like
Hmm.
a team that was supposed to win that loses, and then they end up being a representative of the Super Bowl. It's not a pretty sight for that team. That team always wind up getting steamrolled in the Super Bowl because they wasn't supposed to be there in the first place. They just barely got by to get there. They kind of like fell into a Super Bowl
So,
appearance.
let me say this real quick. I want to thank you for the service. I know you were in the military, correct?
Yes, I was in the Army first out of high school, and then I went to college, and then I went back into the service for the Navy for the last 7.5, 8 years after that.
Could you what in your experience, being that you were in the military, is there, in your opinion, a correlation with football and the military? A lot of people make that correlation. Would you say, in your opinion, is there one?
Yes, in the aspect of preparing young men how to go to I guess I could use the term battle per se. I'm just using it as a
Yeah,
as
euphemism,
a
right?
as a, as a euphemism. Yeah, not actual real battle with guns and cannons and aircraft carriers and all that. But I'm talking about battle as in sports battle. Is
Mm-hmm.
it from the mental standpoint? Is preparing you how to be focused on the task and be pay attention to detail because that's stressed and a lot in the military. From the very first day you enter those doors, pay attention to detail and know what's going on around you. So in or it just not just football, a lot of other sports too. When you play in a team sport,
Mm-hmm.
it's a team thing. The same thing with military. It's a team thing. There's no Rambos. They tell you, don't be a Rambo or you're gonna get your whole squad killed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the same way with a team. You can be a hero, but don't do it to the point where you're gonna cost your team. You see what
I
I'm
got
saying? So and there's the similarity where the big picture, yeah, you want to win the fight,
you. Hmm.
but you don't do something that's going to be a detriment to the rest of the people that's in your around you.
Well,
So in
the
that sense,
perfect.
yeah, in that sense, the ultimate team game, our United States Armed Forces is the ultimate team game. That's what keeps us at number one in the world, because it's we don't lose sight of the ultimate team game.
And the one example I could give you is when the Falcons played the New England Patriots. All Matt Ryan had to do was hand the ball off, but he wanted to be Mr. Big Shot, drop back and pass, got sacked, and knocked them out of field goal range and cost them their Super Bowl.
Yes, that did because they really didn't have to do nothing else but to make one extra field goal. The Patriots would have simply ran out of time. The math and the clock was against them. They really, literally, what you just said, Shake Money, was the whole enchilada right there. They kick a field goal, no matter what the Patriots do, they just simply run out of time. There's not enough time left. It was 25 minutes left to go when it was 28-3. You
Mm-hmm.
know, of actual game time. And And here's another little a shocker about that game too, Shake Money.
Hmm.
They said even if they don't score, if they'd even just hand the ball off for the remaining of the game. Now, they're not even saying being successful in running, just based on how long it takes to do a running play to get back up and do another running play. If you just chew up the entire clock and snap it with 1 second left and hand the ball off, they
Hmm.
win the game that way. They don't even they was saying that even if they don't get another first down.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy, man.
Yeah, just simply not even freaking getting a first down, just handing off the ball for the remainder of the game. You remember in college basketball, they used to Dean Smith used to have this four corners offense where he just killed the clock when he get a 4 or 5 point lead, where they just spread their guards and wings on the perimeter of the half court and just start just throwing the ball around, killing the clock.
Yeah.
That's basically all they had to do in that Falcons game is do that when at the football level. Just kill the clock. Just snap the ball, hand it off to the running back. He does a 2 yard dive. Bam. Next play. And then that's all they had to do for the rest of the day. They didn't even have to throw not one single pass, and they would have been Super Bowl champions. They didn't even have to be successful and convert a first down. And they actually went back and did it and timed it. And based on how long it took New England to run their plays, they said, yeah, New England would have simply ran out of time if Atlanta would have just stepped up would just handed off the ball. That's crazy, ain't it?
Yeah. And speaking of New England, which one is your most hated division rival? Would you say?
It became New England. Cause remember, New England was trash for a long time. Throughout the 70s and 80s, they were like the cellar dwellers.
Hmm.
So to me, my most hated one was the Jets. And it became the Bills in the 90s. Then, of course, obviously the Patriots in the 2000s.
Of
But I would
course.
say it. I would say it switched hands from each one of the teams each of the last 3 decades.
So in other
Patriots
words,
recently, the
uh,
Bills in the 90s, and the Jets in the definitely the Jets in the 80s.
you're like F them all. It don't matter.
Yeah, right. I would say that right there because they just took turns me hating them. I actually used to hate the Raiders for some reason. So I guess maybe because we played them a lot on Monday night,
Hmm.
but I grew up not liking the Raiders as well as far as the outside
Be,
team.
being that you're an old school fan, did you ever? Because I personally didn't either. Did you ever hate Indianapolis Colts?
Uh, I can't say Shake Money that I hated the Colts. Um. Oh, let's see. Damn, I can't. No, that was one team, and even because they were in our division, because it was a 5 team division. I can't even. I'm glad. That's a good question. I can't recall really growing up, really hating them per se, like I did with the Patriots and Jets.
Hmm.
But no, I have to say that was the least hated team as far as all of the AFC teams. I really did, because
Yeah.
they wasn't really. I guess because I really didn't see them that much of a threat. That really was a team that was kind of derailing us from having a chance of competing. It was more so from a competitive standpoint why I didn't really like another team. If I saw that they just really was just a thorn in our side or was the team that was going to do something lucky to get past us and derail us for 1 year. You know what I mean?
And people don't realize this, but before the Colts left the AFC East, Dan Marino and Peyton Manning were AFC East rivals at one point.
At one point they were before they realigned the divisions. Yeah. Yeah. Peyton Manning, Marino. Yeah, they were because his first year, I saw that on uh online. They still had the video of Marino's game as toward the end of his career against Peyton Manning. And that I think they was playing in Indianapolis in that game. No, they had one game in Miami too, because I want to say Jimmy Johnson crapped the bed in that freaking terrible play call at the in the first quarter that we had a chance to go up, and we end up not scoring. Marino threw an interception in the end zone. I was like, oh God,
Yeah.
they turned that game around.
But let me ask you this: being that you said you were in the military, how did you follow the games when you how did you watch the games? How did you follow the team while you were doing in service?
I was when I first got in, it was when I was in the army. I followed them because I was stationed overseas. It's a network called AFN, Armed Forces Network. It was like one channel that had a whole bunch of channels on a loop that feeds into this one channel. Like, so let's say they have a important game on NBC, they'll feed it into a Armed Forces Network, and we can watch it on that one. And a lot of people who know exactly what I'm talking about, who was stationed over there in Germany and stationed in Europe, um, because they had one, or at the time they started out with one Armed Force Network channel. Then they started adding more channels so they could put more and more other programming on those other channels other than just sports, and then later in the evening deciding which one is most likely that people watch in the US, because they try to make it easy for service members to not feel so isolated being in a foreign country. So they try to give them the best of their home TV programming on that network, Armed Forces Network, AFN. So that's how I was able to watch the Dolphins in Germany at that time. If I didn't have my trusty shortwave radio, now I'm really going old school on you now. I
That was
had a shortwave radio that was that I was able to listen to some of the games. Matter of fact, I was listening to that Dolphin Charger game on shortwave radio.
okay. Okay.
I was listening to the field goal as it was being missed from Stojanovic
Damn, that
on
sucks.
on shortwave radio.
Was there any trash talking with amongst the troops about their teams and whatnot?
Yeah,
Did you have
it was.
Did you have any soldiers that were, I mean, fellow team, soldiers that were like division rivals and things like of that nature?
Y- no, well, I can't remember any Bills fans over there at that time. Maybe a Jet fan, but most of them were the Cowboys, Niners, Redskins. Well, it was the Redskins at the time. Um, Giants. It was a good chunk of them were on the coast. I know it was quite a few 49er fans
Oh,
that was
Dolphins
over there with
fans.
me that we tossed trend. It was some Dolphin. It was maybe one or two here or there. Matter of fact, the Steelers, I left them out too.
Oh, yeah, they have a big farm.
One person that was from Miami, um, he was over there with me, stationed with me. Now I know him. He liked it, Miami too. So he wasn't as a fanatic like I was at the time, where I got into arguments and damn near fights about the Dolphins every time.
That's
You
what's
want to
up,
talk
man.
about uh how we get the label Tuanon and all the other labels? I
Yeah.
was I was that version of the Dolphins when it came to our team back then. It wasn't even about Marino or freaking Kareem
Shula.
Abdul or Shula or James Pruitt, Ricky Natil, and all them. It was more so the Dolphins as a franchise that I defended to the teeth.
All right, let
You
me
know,
ask you. I'm gonna throw out five numbers. All right, random numbers. You tell me. Yeah, you can pass, but just try to guess a number, man. What player? You don't have to get the number right, but just what
okay,
player comes to your mind when you hear these numbers? All right, 15.
okay.
15. Whatever player comes to mind. 15.
That Jesus. Well, the first one came to mind. A player, Dolphin player, Devon Bess. Was
Okay.
he? Was he?
Damn, I was thinking about that one too.
Yeah, the Devon Bess. Yeah. Okay. I go. I will go. I'm going with Bess when that's what jumps out when I'm thinking of that one. It's weird because
58.
it's a freaking wide receiver. Yeah.
58.
Damn, I didn't even see a Dolphin name didn't even come to my mind at that point. I thought Wilbur Marshall for the Bears.
Mm.
I didn't even think dog. See, I'm just thinking now my mind is just on an endless loop when you start thinking about 58s. Now I know this gotta be it's a Dolphin 58 that I'm just not even thinking of right now.
Mhm.
But um well shit. But as far I'm thinking about great players that wore the number. So Wilbur Marshall was a damn good player for the Bears, so
Mhm.
I'll say that.
Okay. All right. I'll give you that pass. I'll give you that pass. 88. 88. 88.
88. Shit. Well, let's go with Pruitt.
82.
Pruitt. Ingram.
And last 11.
Yeah, I knew you was gonna say that. I'll be honest. The first person came to my mind that Parker was because it was because of my disdain for him. I'll give you that. I'll say Parker. Crypto said Parker. Now you got me on record. That was a
No,
softball.
no, but I was thinking because I watched the game. Who was that tight end that was multi? It kind of like he kind of reminded me of.
Jim Jensen. Jim
That's
Jensen.
yeah, that's what
I
I
was
was
just
thinking.
trying to make sure everybody was gonna kill me when they hear me. But I was just gonna give them the Parker thing. I know.
Devontae
They're gonna
Parker.
say,
Hey,
see, they're gonna say no, Shake Money. They're gonna say, see, crypto. The first thing you thought was fucking Devontae Parker when you thought about his number. Say, I'm gonna give him that. I'm gonna give him that. I'm gonna let him be happy. I'm gonna let him know I'm not a hater.
that's what's up.
That
All
was
right,
Devontae Parker. There you go.
I'm gonna throw five positions. You tell me the first player that comes to your head. Strong safety. Dolphin.
Oh, strong safety, Oliver. Oh, Holland. Well,
Holland.
what you talking about the position of player?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I was throwing some numbers. Holland, Oliver.
Okay. Tight end.
Yeah. Well, let's go with Jensen. He played it enough. He did a lot. I know
Defensive
Gasek.
tackle.
I know Miss Finn. No, let me back up because I know Miss Finn's might be she be listening. She be getting mad. So I'm gonna say Gasecki. Go ahead,
Okay,
Miss Finn's. Don't kill me now.
that's what's up. All right. Defensive end.
Taylor. I'll say our Taylor, not Lawrence, but Jason.
Yeah, of
Because
course.
I could have went. You could be like Taylor. Which one? Okay, Jason.
Fullback.
Page.
And last but not least, kicker.
I'll go with Stojanovic. He was the best.
Yeah, he was. It's better than Jason Monopoly Money Sanders.
Right. He's better than that. Exactly. Yeah. Even though he broke my heart when I was listening on shortwave radio, and I couldn't do nothing. I fell out. Damn, that fell out my bunk bed. I was on the top bunk at the time. But guess what? I had to wait another 20 plus years just to get back to that moment again, Shake Money.
Damn.
It's all because of Stojanovic.
So, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, you hear this voice, and a lot of people wonder what crypto looks like. I have a picture of him. Larry, show that picture. So if you
Oh
want to know what
man.
crypto looks like, that's what he looks like.
No man, that was a good one, Shake Money. You got me. There you go. You got me.
All right,
That's a good. That's a good one, Shake Money. I like that one.
all right. Let's build your ultimate team before we get out of here.
All
All
right,
right.
we're gonna build it. Yeah, we can build the ultimate team. We'll
Oh
start.
man.
We'll start at. Okay, we're gonna
And
start with.
by the way, hold on, before we go, there's only one rule. He had to play. He had to be a Dolphin for at least one season. That's it.
All right, just one season. Oh, okay, that's
One
fine.
season.
That's a good one. We could work with that. One season.
All right, let's start at the quarterback. Pat White. I'll put you down. Oh, Tua. I'll put you down for Tua.
You forgot. Lemon.
Oh, that too. Him too. No, who do you want? Who do you want? Dan Marino?
Yeah,
Marino?
we'll go with Dan the man.
Okay.
Ray Lucas has the ultimate backup.
Yeah. What? By the way, what offense of your? Because I'm a I'm gonna put you at. I was gonna do I did beginner with Pan, but with you, you're a little bit more advanced. What formation you want to run out of?
I will want to run a for this particular one because they wanted him. The word was they was going to do a one time a run and shoot with him, but he never did run and shoot. That wasn't the offense. I'll go with a spread offense
How many
with
receivers?
a wide receiver. I'll go with four.
Okay.
One
One
running back on this left side, left hip.
no tight end? No tight end, right? Or one tight end?
Uh, n- no,
No tight
because
end.
what's his name could do both. Because I was going to put Jensen as one of them. But
Okay,
yeah,
so all right. Who's
so
your
no,
running
you
back?
don't worry about the tight end on this one on this
Okay.
formation.
Okay. Who's your running back?
I'm going to say Williams right now because all those other ones was washed up.
Ricky.
Yeah, I'll say Ricky. He gave us enough good years
Okay.
before McGahee and all those guys start coming in.
Who's your starting wide receiver? Who's your receiving core?
Right now, the core. Ooh, now that I'm adding two, because you said 1 year, so
Mm-hmm.
all of them it will be the Marx Brothers, Waddle, and Hill.
Oh shit! I mean, damn. Wow. Okay.
Nobody's beating that team.
Who are the outside
I
ones?
probably don't even need a running back if I'm gonna be honest with you with that one. But yeah, but since we're gonna go Waddle Hill and the what you call it, but yeah, Waddle Hill and the Marx Brothers. What's you said you want my guard?
All right, let me do a tackle.
My tackle, I'll go with Webb on the left. Well, I'll put him there.
Left tackle.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, who's your guard?
I'm gonna go with Keith Sims.
See, I knew I could play this game with you, bro. Center.
Mike Pouncey. I
Oh,
want to say
Gators.
Stevenson, but I'll go with Pouncey now. I'll give him a shot. I'll give him Pouncey was damn good. I mean, I don't get a lot of people on the base. He was one of the best centers in history. But yeah, um, and then that other one, yeah.
Right
It's
guard.
see, I'm in between him. I know I'm gonna get nailed by the all of the older Dolphins fans for not picking Stevenson. I got to go with somebody a little newer. That's why I'm kind of
Yeah.
switching it up here.
Hey, I like this though because this you're spreading out the love with the different generations.
Yeah, yeah.
So
We're gonna
I
go with
like
the
it.
right. We're gonna do that. Yep. We're spreading it out. We're gonna the ultimate team. I'll stay in that frame of mind, and I'll put in Richie Incognito on the other guard. I mean the other guard.
You know what's funny? Miss Pamela,
Yeah.
I made it easier for her because, I told her what kind of offensive line you want, what decade. She says, I want the 80s offensive line with Richie Incognito. I'm like,
Oh, okay. Okay, that's a good way to put it. Well, I almost got that, but I added Pouncey though.
yeah, yeah. And then RT,
I'll go with I can deal with Jawan James.
Jawan James.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the wall. The only thing that he was like the quarterback we mentioned. He was a great player when he was on the field. It's just
Right. That's the thing. I can go with him because he was a very good pickup for us.
yeah.
That was a good one, and he was able to do it. And even though I was mad with the Jake Long thing, I was going to add him because Jake Long he was good too. I would say they were interchangeable, but they both gave us good years. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Jake Long and Webb as my bookend tackles, you can't go wrong with that. So that's why I say James, he can give us those, but yeah, Jake Long, they're gonna be like, man, they's the number one overall pick. Okay. He was a James was a top 20 pick. Okay, you can't go wrong. He gave us a thousand, well, not 1,000 yard. Was it three times, 200-yard rushing running backs was behind him on that side. So there you go.
Yeah, Ajayi was one of them, right?
Yep, he was one of them. Yep. So you can't go wrong with that. We'll keep it a little balance between the 80s and 2000s.
All right, now your defense. What formation defense you running?
No, we never run this. It's my favorite defense. It's the 46 zone. It's the 4-6. One linebacker, 6 DBs, and 4 linemen. That's my favorite formation of all time.
Hey, it's your So let's start off with defensive end.
I know because it's a what you call it. We're gonna go with Taylor. He's got to be on there. Taylor, Bowen, and Dan. It's almost that whole team. That there. At least 3 of them. Hold on. Taylor and Bowens is on there.
Yeah, Bowens was a D tackle though.
Yeah, but see, you want me to pick the end guys, but see,
Yeah.
I would have to go. I'm just going down the line because I wanna put Wake on there, but he made me so angry that for a couple of years, I'm kind of like he was good when he was not so much when he was always counted on, but for enough. I'll put it that way. Because he was starting to fall out of my good graces towards the end of his career. So he gave me enough good years. So Jason Taylor, he's my starter on that side. You can't go with Bowens. I mean you have to go with Bowens, Oliver, Olivier Vernon. Those are all great guys, but I want to put, even though he played with us for a few years, Trace Armstrong was more than serviceable.
Trace Armstrong.
He was a stud. He was a stud. That's why I say, damn, probably that whole line in the 20 teens. The whole D line. Because you're right. Oh, I'm sorry. Adama Kansu. He played with us for a year.
DT? He played a few couple of years, so DT.
Yeah.
Sue.
Because he was kind of in his prime in a way. That's why we ended up paying him the bag, because he was in his prime. Well, so I'm gonna go with Sue. Shake Money. I'll go with Sue. I'm gonna go with Sue.
All right, and another defensive tackle.
We're gonna put damn. See, what's his Ingram is disruptive. Melvin Ingram is very disruptive. I like him, but oh man, a lot of people start not. They don't like. But see, I look at the intangibles. The man's getting fumble recoveries for touchdowns, sacking quarterbacks, making them fumble. I want to put him, but you asked me to build a symbol team. Let me go back in the history. I'll go with Marco Coleman.
Mark O.
Yeah, Coleman.
Mark Coleman.
Yeah. Yep. I'll go back in history and I'll get him. I'll put him on there. They'll probably kill me for putting Ingram on there. Even though I have a biased favoritism towards, because he does well when he's asked to do well.
All right, what linebacker?
So Coleman is my other guy. Shake Money Coleman.
Let me. One. How about linebacker?
Thomas.
Zach Thomas.
Yeah. Yep. I'm gonna go with Thomas. Because if I'm going traditional, it will be him in the middle, and Offerdahl and Sayal.
But you're just doing one linebacker. How many DB? How many cornerbacks?
4.
4 cornerbacks. Who are they? Xavier Howard.
There you go. It's gonna be Madison and Surtain. Hell, you know what? Because this is based on what they did collectively. I'll give my man some love. I'll say Madison, Surtain, Jones, and Howard. There you go. That's gonna make up the bulk of my 46 zone. And then my safety is Holland and Oliver. I want to say
Jones.
Jones. I want to say I'll say Sean with the other guy. Um Jones, I want to say as the other strong guy. Oh man,
Ho-
this is difficult to close this one out.
Holland. Holland. You
Yeah, I
said
said I no, I said yeah, I said Javon Holland. Yes, he's one of them. I got one more guy to pick to pair up with him because remember the Bears had Richard Anderson and they had Dave Dorson and who was the hell? It's slipping my mind. Yeah,
they have three
Dorson was the other
safeties.
guy.
They have three
Huh?
safeties.
Yeah, two safeties. You can do either one, but either one of them are interchangeables. That's what made Buddy Ryan so that system so clever. Any one of those DBs can play on the boundary or play
Mhm.
safety.
Okay. Yeah, because
So
Jones could play safety because he was
Joe,
a safety with the Cowboys.
right? Yes, exactly. So Jones will have to be in my 46 zone scheme. Um, I'm gonna go since I got all these DBs. Now these DBs can tackle their ass off. A lot of people are like we ain't gonna stop nobody. Dude, look at my defensive line. They're getting sacks every 4 seconds. Every 2 seconds, they're already in the backfield. Number one, and then if you get the guy like Javon Holland coming down crashing that line, it's over. It's a turnover waiting to happen. It's a turnover waiting, especially Madison with the press
Mhm.
coverage and Certain beating up our wide receivers. Oh my God, they're just destroying these guys at the line of scrimmage. So I'm
Last
telling you,
safety.
Shake Money, this defense right here will
What's
probably
your
give up 3 points a game. Three
what's
points a
your
game
last
tops.
what's your last safety?
I'm gonna go with okay, I got Holland. I said Oliver because he got some good
Oliver.
hands. Yeah, I
Okay,
said
that's it.
Oliver. Yeah, but I can go with him or Brandon Jones. But see, Jones is real good in run support, and you need that as a in this 4-6 zone scheme. Ball game will tell you. I was talking to him about it if we were to play something like that. But yeah,
Mhm.
you need a good guy that's good in run support.
So
Jones is that guy. Oliver is that guy too. See, Oliver is a good cover guy. That's the thing.
okay, so
One's a better cover guy, and one's a better press guy in run support. You know what I mean?
yeah, let me recap then. So your quarterback is Dan Marino, Ricky Williams, Waddle Hill, the Marks brothers, Webb, Sims, Pouncey, Incognito, Juwan James is your offense, your starting offense. Your defense is Jason Taylor, Trace Armstrong, Dominican Sue, Mark Coleman, Zach Thomas is your linebacker. Your four DBs are Madison, Sertan, Howard, and Brent Byron Jones. Your safeties are Holland and Oliver. Correct.
Correct.
All right.
Yep.
And what's funny is, What's funny is I'm gonna tell you some things you had in common. I'm not gonna give you her team, but I'm gonna tell you some things you had in common with Pam. Of course, you guys had Dan Marino,
Uh huh.
Ricky Williams,
Yeah.
the Marks brothers,
Uh huh.
Sue, and Jason Taylor. Oh, and Zach Thomas,
Okay, we had Zach and Jason. Okay.
and
Oh,
Patrick Sertan and Sam Madison.
right. Right.
So you guys
Yep.
think alike. Yeah, great minds think alike, right?
Yep. That was it. That's yep. Great minds think alike. Pam knows. When we was watching the old TV with the rabbit ears, we was watching, and we had to make sure we put the aluminum foil on the side, and then move your hand 9 degrees to the left, and lift your feet up about 2 inches, and that'll get the perfect reception.
Said you ain't lying, brother. But hey, listen, man, I appreciate you being on my second show in the blender with Shake Money, man. Any final thoughts before we close it?
Oh, I appreciate it, Shake Money. You invited me on, and one of your episodes for this upcoming season. I enjoyed it, and definitely being in the blender from a fan standpoint. the franchise has definitely been in the blender per se, because we've been waiting to get back to that dance so we can finally get a chance to walk down the aisle and get that ring. You know,
Yeah,
that's what we've been waiting on. Be able to finally walk down the aisle and get that ring and get it done. Because these years come and go in a blink of an eye. Before you know it, you're gonna have grandkids watching, and you're like, "Damn, where all did that time go?" You know, you
ain't lying,
know
bro. You know,
exactly. So
all
we're right here waiting.
right, my brother. I will see you around the bend.
Nope, no problem. Shake Money, we appreciate it, and
All right,
much much love, and we'll get some blended up soon.
all right.
Yep.
Thanks, Larry. Hey, thanks everybody. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Please hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. We're gonna keep this up. This is 2 of 23. My last episode is going to be right before the preseason in August. So the last episode of In the Blender means we have football around the corner. So I'm hoping to get more guests and keep this thing going, man. Much appreciated. I'm out of here. Peace.